Stand by. Resetting firmware. And operating system failure.
Look out!
Life is not a fairy tale, and there are no happy endings.
What are the Shrouds of Eden? The Shrouds of Eden were designed by the precursor named Kansas. The Shrouds were made to heal the user from any critical injury he or she received, from gunshots, stab wounds, swords, spears, explosions, etc. you name it. The Shroud was able to heal these injuries so long the user was wrapped in the Shroud. The Shrouds were also capable of healing birth defects. As an example here, Giovanni Borgia was born malformed and with defects. Giovanni would have died if he wasn't wrapped in Kansas' original Shroud of Eden, but the encounter with the Shroud altered his mind permanently. As a result, Giovanni maintained a preternatural relationship with Kansas throughout his life and was particularly attuned to pieces of Eden. The Shrouds were able to heal its wielder on a cellular level. The Shroud scans the body for damage and is so able to heal its wielder, even on decomposed organisms. This led to the research of reconstructing precursor individuals from existing DNA samples. Besides healing, the Shrouds of Eden contained a numerous amount of abilities that the user was able to use so long he was in contact with the Shroud itself. Enhanced healing, super strength and shooting energy beams. In Assassin's Creed Syndicate, we see that Crawford Sterk has wrapped himself in the Shroud of Eden and used its enhanced healing and super strength to fight the twin assassins Jacob and Evie Fry.
Get out of my city!
But when they removed him from the Shroud, they were able to fatally wound him and were so able to take him down. The precursor First Civilization member Juno was able to shoot energy beams out of her hands because the Shroud was fused with her body, making the energy of the Shroud flow right through her. But we currently don't know if this only counts for fully fledged precursors because the precursor body and mind is very different from our own, even though we, the humans, share precursor DNA in our own bloodstreams. But for this video, I will just assume this isn't limited to precursors only. It is also stated in the lore that Kansas transferred his mind in the original prototype Shroud of Eden, so he will not die of old age, but he was unable to leave the Shroud and so he became the prisoner of his own work. In the modern day era, the original Shroud landed in the hands of Abstergo Industries and it was being researched by the Templar Dr. Alvaro Grammatica. A few years later, the laboratory where the Shroud was kept was under the attack of the assassins. During the attack, the Shroud got destroyed by the assassin Galina Voronina, but by doing so, she killed unknowingly Kansas too, who was still stuck inside the Shroud, making him one of the longest living precursors that has survived the Toba catastrophe that happened tens of thousands of years ago. But the Shrouds weren't perfect. Shrouds can also destroy the user, drive them to madness or physically tear them apart. There is this legend that the Shroud of Eden is able to bring people back from the dead, but it only can reanimate them for a brief period. This is stated by the essential guide in the project's legacy. But in the reconstructed assassin data files from Assassin's Creed Syndicate, Violet da Costa got shot multiple times to the head by Dr. Grammatica while wearing the original Shroud of Eden.
I know how to summon the precursor, but I've never been able to communicate with him.
This is going to be an interrogation.
Bingo!
If it's all the same to you, I'm going to leave before the mess.
Mess? What did she mean by...
They did this because it was the only way to communicate with the precursor Kansas. After the healing, or you could just say reparations, were done, Kansas left them and Violet Costa was brought back to life like nothing has ever happened. This seems awfully confusing, but there are a few theories for this. Whenever Violet gets shot to the head, it's not an instant death, which, let's be real here, that will be hard to buy. But it is a way to explain why the Shroud was able to heal her. A second theory says that Violet keeps surviving because the Shroud is wrapped around her and it reacts immediately when there's a critical injury to the body. A third theory says it could be related with Kansas being stuck inside the Shroud, or it's just simply a retcon contradiction to give the writers a possible way to bring Juno back from the dead. The most notable wielders of the Shrouds of Eden or came into contact with it are Jesus Christ, Giovanni Borgia, Edward Kenway, Mario Auditore, Violet da Costa, Alvaro Grammatica, Juno and many other characters in the Assassin's Creed franchise. I hope you enjoyed this brief history lesson on the Shrouds of Eden and understand what role they play in the Assassin's Creed universe. I hope you have a fun day or night wherever you are.